The great hunt continues, my friends, in this 2v2 showdown, featuring the Huntsmarshal's expedition, who shall be joined by the Empire, facing off against the Spirit of the Jungle, which is Nakai's unique faction, and the Lizardmen. So as far as the teams go, it's going to be myself as the Huntsmarshal's expedition, and Italian Spartacus as the Empire, facing off against Janna on occasion, who's going to be the Spirit of the Jungle, and Gojira, who's going to be the Lizardmen. So yes, it's finally here, the dreaded double Dread Saurian showdown. So our opponents here do have two double Dread, not two double Dread Saurians, it's going to be one double Dread Saurian combination. So it's going to be a Dread Saurian, I think, and a Feral one. So actually, no, it looks like they're both going to be Feral. So the Feral Dread Saurians, I actually think in terms of like competitive play, are probably the most cost-effective option. They only cost 2,300 gold, and they still pack a huge punch. The other options are a little bit expensive, but for the most part, these guys can certainly do some work if left unimpeded. But for the forces of the glorious expedition and the Empire, let us go ahead and take a look at the forces of Italian Spartacus and myself. So in the front line for Spartacus, these guys are probably the most unfortunate guys in this entire matchup. These swordsmen are going to be getting attacked by the Dread Saurians and a multitude of other scary beasts, so it's going to be a bit of a scary situation for those guys. But swordsmen, you know, they hold their own. I mean, not much to say there. They can certainly beat skink cohorts, but against Saurus or elite troops, they're going to struggle. But that's why we have layers to this glorious Empire onion. We have halberdiers here in the secondary line. And, Spartacus and I were talking, we're like, yeah, I think we're going to need some anti-large. I think there's going to either be Sacred Croxagores, Cav, or a ton of these big Dread Saurians coming in, or some sort of other spooky stuff. So we have 4 halberds in total. Ideal choice, anti-large, armor piercing, charge defense against all, which is going to be very useful. That's pretty much it for the front line here. He does also have a Jade Wizard. Boris Todbringer, he decided to fly across the great ocean to Lustria. He's like, hey, Huntsmarshal, let's do this. Let's take down some, I know it's not Kazarak, but he's here to party anyways. Here in the back, we got one group of Huntsmen here from Italian Spartacus to give him some utility, but really the main core here is going to be his Demogryph Knights and Infantry. And he's really handling that aspect of the battle here. And as far as my force goes, the Huntsmarshal is going to be led by, of course, Markus Wulfhart. So Markus has some insane abilities here. So firstly, the Amber Bow and the Focus Shot. Really good against Dread Saurians and big targets. I mean, he's going to be trying to work those guys down. We do also have a Snare Net and Fleet-Footed. So if he's getting chased Jurassic Park style, he should be able to get away. Here in the back, we do have a couple War Wagons. So we have 2 War Wagons, decent AP on these guys. Basically, I just use them to kind of run interference and kite things and pull people where I want them to be. I got a bit of a Cav core as well, so 2 Empire Knights plus the Royal Altar of Gryphites. Certainly going to be a lot of work cut out for those guys, because you can see here there's Feral Cold Ones, there's Cold One Knights kind of lurking on every edge of the map, basically. So yeah, those guys are going to be in a bit of trouble for sure. In the back, we have 2 cannons protected by spears, but it looks like the Lizardmen, very, very cunning and ancient foes, going to be coming in with Pterodon Riders and dropping some rocks. That's going to be very unfortunate for me, but my main army really is just the wagons. I do also have the Black Lions ROR wagon, and this thing is an absolute monster here. It's really good against big dinosaurs, heavy AP fire, good against infantry, just a really, really powerful unit. Expensive, but powerful. So without further ado, guys, let the battle begin. The Lizardmen force is going to be mostly Skinks and Dread Saurians. We do have Nakai as well. Let's actually just take a more in-depth look here. So it's going to be Nakai with his beatdown club, but he didn't bring too many abilities, just the golden tributes for perfect vigor. And what is going to be the leadership for the Lizardmen? It looks like it's going to be a Slan Mage with life. So they can now bring life. So he has Earthblood, Shield of Thorns. Mainly he's going to be healing Dread Saurians, but yeah, everything is pretty much Skinks with the exception of these 2 big beasts here. So guys, the onslaught is coming. The dinos in the backline. Beautiful play from our opponents. I mean, just completely mind gaming us here and getting into the backline, dropping some rocks, and basically destroying our great cannons. So that was very devastating. So I do turn about my war wagons. The wagons are like, rush forward for Sigmar. We must secure the back line, but the cannons get absolutely dumpstered here. So huge, huge value play coming in here. So realizing there's a pretty big push coming in, I do use the Hunter Snare to kind of delay the charge of the Dread Saurians. So I was like, if I can hold those guys back and maybe delay the initial impact, that could be quite strong. On the flank, we're going to have a pretty big Cav fight. The Demogryph Knights are going to be surging into the Cold Ones, led by a Warrior Priest, which is going to be a good engagement for them. And my Empire Knights will be pulling in as well to help out the forces of Italian Spartacus. But the frontline fighting is underway, and the Dread Saurians are having a pretty good time mulching down this front line here. You can see a couple of those guys, really getting caught with the Dread Saurian, which is not fun by any stretch of the imagination. But the other Dread Saurians coming in, and the Huntsmarshal has began to unleash some fire here on the Dread Saurian, but really just pressure coming from all angles, and my wagons are being hunted for sure. So the Black Lion's going to be pulling back here, while the other War Wagons provide some Overwatch fire into the Feral Cold Ones, but really just a huge pressure wave. So more Feral Cold Ones coming around the back. I am able to get 1 cannon back online, so this great cannon is going to be running back here to try and reman, and I have some spearmen to protect it, but it's pretty much a non-factor, and I don't think I'm going to be able to get super efficient there. So the Huntsmarshal gets a little bit, overextended here in enemy ranks. He was shooting the Dread Saurian with his Focus Shot and some of his other abilities, so he gets caught up here, but the Brave Sons of Sigmar, led by Boris Todbringer, are going to be leading a countercharge here, and the Royal Altar of Gryphites from Italian Spartacus are going to be going in there to pin down the Dread Saurians. One of them is going down rather quickly here. You can see that the Huntsman plus the wagons and the Hellblaster Volleygun wagon is able to do a ton of damage against that Dread Saurian, and that is the one that Markus Wulfhart was basically focusing the entire time. Over here, there are going to be some Cold One Spear Riders who are able to catch some of my Empire Knights out of position here, so I will be countercharging with my other Empire Knights. But in the meantime, the wagons are just kind of sitting up on the high ground, shooting against some of the bigger targets. But some Feral Cold Ones are able to get on the black lines, which is really unfortunate, so I will be pulling the Royal Altdorf Griffites here in a moment to kind of peel those guys off. But in the main fight, the Dread Saurians are causing a lot of problems. I mean, terror-routing our troops, but I have to say, I am really impressed with how well the Sons of Sigmar are holding. And I don't mean that as an actual unit, metaphorically speaking. The Halberds are just doing such a good job. Piling in, they have the Shield of Faith from Italian Spartacus' Warrior Priest, and they're really holding back the onslaught of the Dread Saurians. The Hunter's Net was used once again to kind of keep this Dread Saurian from advancing here, but it looks like this one's broken. Cold Blood might be able to get that guy back on the battlefield, and the Cold One Spear Riders, instead of kind of pressuring the flanks, are actually, well, there are some pressuring the flanks, but some of them have decided to fight in the middle against the onslaught of Empire Infantry. So in the back, the wagons are able to secure themselves, so the wagons are able to circle and take out the Feral Cold Ones, and one of my wagons did take a bit of a beating, the Black Lines here, but those guys are just going to be teeing off against whatever targets they can hit, and you can see they're shooting into the Dread Saurians and the Cab that are coming, but basically I have to pull back at this point, because a huge wave of Cold Ones are going to be coming in, and some of my wagons do get caught up and almost certainly be taking some casualties. So some of my spears who were defending the cannons originally are going to be coming over to intercept this charge, and it's very important. I also drop a Spirit Leech as well, because I need to make sure that I don't lose these wagons. I mean, that's pretty much my big punch, right? They have taken a bit of damage, and the ROR is probably going to be losing at least a model here, but for the most part, I think the Empire Knights and Demogryph Knights should be able to stop this Lizard onslaught on the flank. So for the most part, Italian Spartacus and I have been able to secure this kind of backline of the battlefield. The Lizardman core is very, very focused here, and you can see that the Warrior Priest and Demogryph Knights were able to break off this Dread Saurian, but not before they get countercharged here by Cold One Spear Riders. So they're certainly going to be taking a beating. But it's only a matter of time before our front line does start to falter. Saurus and Dread Saurians will eventually get through Halberds, and even Skinks and lower tier troops are going to be pretty efficient there. Plus the Lizards actually have some heavy healing from the Slon. He's been using Earthbloods and other effects like that to do some pretty good work. Markus, in the meantime, has spotted the Beast, so Nakai the Wanderer here is going to be fighting, and Markus is going to be getting some Spirit Leech support. So Spirit Leech is coming in on Nakai from my Amethyst Wizard, and Markus Wulfhart winds up the bow, and here comes the shot. Boom. Going right into Nakai's back there, and you can see Nakai is taking quite a bit of damage, and the Hunter's Snare is going to be going down as well to kind of pin these forces down, while the rest of my army with the wagons and my cav are able to resecure the backline situation. So I know that Nakai needs to go down. The Beast must be slain because he is leading a very powerful charge, and he also gives all of these nearby friends perfect vigor. So you can see all the Skinks are fresh, and the Empire troops are tired, so that could be something in a very long game that would matter. Here comes the winded up shot. Nakai is the target, and the focus shot pounds into Nakai the Wanderer. He's very, very low, and is he going to get away? 117, and down he goes. The Beast has been slain by the Expedition. So the War Wagons, in the meantime, going to be pulling back, being chased by the Pterodon Riders. And I have to say, though, the real MVP this game, Markus has done a very good job against the Dread Saurians, and it's far from over. But, man, the Empire State troops holding that long in the front line, those Halberds did great. I mean, look at what they're having to fight here. This is horrible for them. So the Dread Saurian's going to be surging in, the Cav are charging. I mean, this is pretty much the last stand here for the Empire Infantry. The Dread Saurian is most certainly going to be able to cleave through these brave Sons of Sigmar. You can see here, he's having a pretty good time doing such. And also the other Dread Saurian's back, guys. Huge, huge, scary situation. The Sons of Sigmar are starting to buckle a little bit. The Halberds are breaking. The Warrior Priest is a little bit broken up. A Spirit Leech going down to finish off the Rev Crystal. But layers upon layers of healing from these Rev Crystals. And the Slon Mage of Life is just doing so much. But the Empire is resurgent. In the back line, they're forming a secondary battle line of the Spearmen. The wagons are being sent in to run over these Skinks, doing an excellent job. And you can also see that, Shield of Thorns, look at that. I'm so not used to seeing Shield of Thorns and effects like that. And Todbringer also lurks in the sky. So Markus Wulfhart and Todbringer are going to be coordinating now to try and take down the Slon Mage. The leadership of these lizards must fall so that the feral beasts panic and run. So right here, another shot from Markus is going to be arcing in and going in, and it does tag the Slon. But it looks like the feral Dread Saurian comes for Markus. The Hunter is in a bit of a precarious situation. He draws his bow and draws the string, but he takes a huge beating there from the Dread Saurian, getting knocked over. But of course, he is a seasoned veteran. And the Royal Altdorf Griffites, the expedition reinforcements coming from Altdorf, are going to be surging to the aid of the Emperor's Scout here. And you can see that the Demogryph Knights are going to be able to get a good engagement, though taking some heavy damage in doing so. They should be able to really pepper this guy down and do some great work. As you can see, the feral Dread Saurian is going to be getting charged by the wagons. The war wagons are being called in. The black lines in the back standing firm. Only 2 wagons left, but still able to draw their sights here on the Dread Saurian. And the Dread Saurian is broken by the culmination of focus fire and, of course, the fire from the Hunts Marshal. Now, in the main line, the Lizards continue to surge forward. The Slon is getting very low, though. Italian Spartacus has been focusing it with his Huntsman, what's left of them, and you can see back here they're about to get broken off. And Boris Todbringer, of course, has the mobility advantage. Granted, Dread Saurians are very, very fast. These guys do have 60 speed, so they can certainly cover some ground. One more Spirit Leech is going to be going down on the Slan Mage. He could potentially have some healing left, but at the very least, the Spirit Leech is going to break him and make him a bit of a non-factor. And Todbringer's coming in. Toddy is pissed. He's like, where are the Beastmen? This thing will have to do for now, and it looks like the Slan Mage is simply going to be running. But, oh, does he stabilize? Maybe. But over here, my Hellblaster Volley Gun is going to be shooting the Slan. I don't want to give it any chance to heal, and you can see our opponents, Janet and Gojira, are pulling the Legion of Chaqua here to potentially give it a nice heal, but I do have some Empire Knights pulling by, trying to get on top of the Slan to make sure it doesn't come back. So for the first time in this glorious expeditionary battle, the Balance Power does go in the favor of the Empire as a Slan takes a Hellblaster Volley Gun to the back, and down he goes! Empire Knight's able to watch him fade into antiquity. But the Dread Saurian still lurks, guys, and the bounce power is a little bit in our favor, but this thing is certainly a pertinent threat. You can see those guys are going to be slamming into our state troops here. The last of our infantry just fighting, holding on to the bitter end for Markus Wulfhart, just buying him the precious time he needs to take down this foul beast. And the Dread Saurian is broken with 3,000 HP. And thankfully, I still do have the Royal Altar of Griffite. So those guys are going to be pulling in as the illustrious and glorious Italian Spartacus is able to take out the Skink Priest in the back. Boris Todbringer and Markus Wulfhart just given the bro high five of the ages, able to take out many of these Dino threats. In the back, the wagons are still online, a little bit low on ammo, but they can still be used as kind of chariots here. And you can see there still is the Legion of Chaqua, but they're not going to be able to do too much. Marcus would be able to kind of snipe them out. Chariots could cycle charge, and we still do have a fair amount of infantry and powerhouse units like Boris left. There are going to be some lizards resurging here in the forest, the feral cold ones, or jungle I should say. And the skink cohorts are going to be coming back in as well as these spearmen and halberds reform ranks in front of this Dread Saurian, and Markus Wulfhart is going to continue to pepper that threat. On the far side, some cold one spear riders are able to get back into the huntsmen. Huntsmen, of course, not the best melee. They do have 24 weapon strength, so they're not going to enjoy that. But thankfully, we are able to rampage some of these guys into the expeditionary spears, which are going to take up arms and potentially do some really good work here against these beasts. So man, quite a battle it's been. You can see that we do have the carts coming in as well. The wagons are going to be ramming these cold ones. Just a massive, massive just battle here between these two forces. And the Royal Altar of Griffites are going to be slamming into the skink cohorts and some of these other troops, which is most certainly going to give us a really nice tear route in this position, as skinks don't have the best leadership, nor are they immune to psychology. And let's look on the far side. The Dread Saurian, I believe, is 100% offline. Boris Todbringer, a little bit out of his element. He's more used to the forest of, I'm sure, the Drakenwald here, but he does take out the Dread Saurian and shatters the beast. But the beast is still alive and will lick its wounds, and I'm sure it'll be back to hunt down these foul Empire, the incursion. So well played. That was such a fun battle, man. Italian Spartacus and I were on Discord during that, and we were just having such a good time during that battle. We're like, bring down the beast, shoot it, shoot it. And we were just coordinating our forces, and it just felt like such a rich experience. Like the wagons kiting back, but then his halberds just holding all day. Those halberds with the warrior priest support, man, they just did not give. And they were the unsung heroes of this match, I think. The fact that they held back the Dread Saurians and were able to kind of just not rout instantly to that was really impressive. But yeah, the wagons did good. The Black Lions, though they didn't do a ton of damage or a ton of kills, were able to get a lot of damage on the Dread Saurians and some of those other big threats. Marcus did a great job. He's just an absolutely solid character, able to snare down the big threats. Focus shot and Rabot did a ton of damage over the course of the game. Cannot complain at all. But the Griffites were really good as well. So yeah, the armies worked pretty well together. I actually thought we were in huge trouble because Janet and Gojira had a really beautiful play in the beginning. I think it was Janet who had it. He had an outstanding drop on our cannons, and I was like, oh god, how are we going to deal with those big threats now that we are missing two great cannons, right? So very nice catch there. He was able to do some great work. I'm sure they were expecting cannons. Yeah, very fun builds. We got to see the Slan Mage, Priest of Life, and of course we got to see Nakai in action with the double dreaded Dread Saurian. Oh man, such a mouthful, but that's what you guys are asking for, right? I want to see the double dreaded Dread Saurian build, which we did get to see, which was really fun. So well played to Italian Spartacus, Janna on occasion, and Gojira. Please make sure to check out the channels of Spartacus, Janna on occasion, and Gojira, which will be linked in the comment section below. And thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys on the expedition. Take care.